Next, I have enforcement zoning 25-000-452-1, short-term rental registration of 1619 Bardstown.
Yes, and I was actually fetching a document when you swore in the other employees. Can I get sworn in,
Right.
please?
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth?
Yes.
All right. Name and address.
Jude Mattingly, Office of Planning, 444 South 5th Street. Okay, so in front of you today is a waiver of that section of Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances that prohibits a short-term rental from registering within 12 months of receiving a citation. In this particular case, there are 3 units in this building that would be registered as short-term rentals if this waiver is granted. The property was cited for operating a short-term rental on an expired registration in March of 2025. And the Board of Zoning Adjustment may grant a waiver of the remaining penalty period to allow the property owner to lawfully register any STR unit at the subject site. Next slide, please. This is just some brief site context. This property is on Bardstown Road at the intersection of Duker Avenue and Bardstown Road. It is zoned C2 commercial, so it's on that commercial corridor of Bardstown Road. If you're looking toward Baxter Avenue or toward Douglas Boulevard, this is what you would see of mixed commercial uses. And the staff finding is we've talked to the applicant and they've indicated that they are willing to pay any application fees that may have been involved with the lapse period. The subject property is adjacent to exclusively commercial uses, and our review of enforcement records have not revealed any other additional citations or complaints filed related to STR use at the subject site. And your required actions would be to either approve or deny the waiver of Metro Code of Ordinances section to allow the issuance of 3 short-term rental registrations within 12 months of receiving a citation.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Mattingly? Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 2 speaker cards. One for the attorney for the applicant, Mr. Buchenberger.
That's correct.
All right. And then one for Mr. Holman. Are you both planning to speak?
I think Mr. Holman is available for questions.
Okay. All right, sir. Name and address, please.
Stephen Buchenberger, Buchenberger Law Office, 2010 Edgeland Avenue, Louisville, Kentucky, 40204.
I swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the board members today. As Mr. Mattingly presented very well for us today, this is a C2 property. It didn't require a conditional use permit. And unfortunately, my client didn't have the opportunity for the board to explain to him the registration process. Now, should he have known about that? Of course, he should have. But it did lapse. But this property is very well managed. My client has owned it for 15 years. It's been a short-term rental since 2018. As Mr. Mattingly said, we're willing to pay any associated fees or registrations that had lapsed at the time of the violation and before that. My client paid the citation to the enforcement board, and he's just asking for the waiver of the 12-month rule, as is in your discretion to give him today if you all felt that it was reasonable. So I would ask if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to answer them as well as my client.
Question?
Yes, Member Lewis.
So how many years has he been registering this prior to this lapse?
He had registered these units from 2018 to 2023. So there had been about a year and a half of non-compliance.
And what was the excuse for that?
I don't think that there's an honest excuse other than just a lapse of judgment and not being, I think that the non-registration was not an intentional intent of my client to subvert any sort of registration process or any sort of government oversight. I think that it was just a mistake on his part.
But he had done it, he had registered it 5 years prior, every year before it expired.
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Member Lewis?
No.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Beta.
Yes, thank you. So following up on my colleague's questions, so it would seem that when there's been a pattern or behavior of compliance and then a lapse in compliance, that there may have been, it could be explained, a change in the way the property was being managed, the enterprise was being managed. And so to restore confidence that that diligence is going to be reapplied to a very routine but necessary required annual registration, that the applicant would also revisit then how that process is going to be managed differently from the time when it was allowed to lapse. But we've heard no discussion of that. I wonder if you might want to elaborate on what the thinking is there.
Well, thank you for that question. I think that my client understands the severity of the issue. He hired an attorney to come and speak to him on that. I have counseled him on the importance of the registration process. He's well aware of it now. This property is also used as a photo studio, and so I think that there was probably a time in between the lapse where the primary use was the photo studio and not the Airbnb. Now, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have registered it. But, as I stand here today, I've counseled my client on how to manage this in the future, the importance of the registration process. I think that our concern is moving forward. One, the desire to be in compliance. The waiver rule makes it difficult. The 12-month rule makes it difficult without having it be waived to get back into compliance and continue operating the commercially zoned property as they desire to operate it. They understand the process now, and they've been counseled on that, and they're under my oversight now. I have spoken with Mr. Mattingly, and we've had some correspondences where he has spelled out to me very clearly when the next registration is due, which is actually coming up here at the end of June, I believe. So my client is prepared today to move forward in compliance and changing his operations basically through my counsel and through my ability to be able to help monitor this for him a little bit more clearly. You're welcome.
Question, please.
When's the last time this property was rented as a short-term rental?
The last time this property was rented as a short-term rental was from the citation that occurred in
March 30th.
Yeah, in March of 2025. And upon receiving that citation and my client coming to my office to get counsel on that, I recommended to him, and he complied with not renting it out anymore, because I said that the importance of not getting another citation between today's board meeting and the last citation is going to speak volumes, as well as him not listing that property in the future. So it's not listed right now.
Not
He's
listed on any platform?
at all, and any platforms, and he has shut down all short-term rental operations pending your all's decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry. Oh, Member Horton. Yes,
Yes,
please.
thank you. Has your client received any citations up to this date?
Not at all. This is the first citation he's ever received as a operator of the short-term rental. And this citation, is for compliance with the registration. He's never had a complaint regarding management of this property, regarding the tenants that use the short-term rental. He's never had any sort of noise violation or anything of the such. I mean, they do a very good job of managing their property. And like I said earlier, and like Jude said earlier, it's in a commercial property. I mean, it's on Bardstown Road in the heart of the Highlands. So there's, I understand the policy that the board has with these short-term rentals, especially when they are in a neighborhood situation next to other residentially zoned properties. This property is not that type of property. And he has had no other citations in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
If this is not granted, when is the first date he can re-register this property? When's the 12 months up? And maybe that's for staff.
I think that's more for Mr. Mattingly to answer. He did tell me that, but I don't have it in my notes.
I would have to pull up the exact citation, but it would be March of 2026. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head.
Right, but it'd be the date of the citation.
March 31st, looks like March 31st, 2025. Okay, any other questions? All right.
Madam Chair, we have an online speaker whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
And I don't know whether the speaker is in support or opposition. If they are in opposition, Mr. Buchenberger, you will have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you.
They didn't indicate, but I believe they're in opposition. It's Ann Ramser. I'll bring her over.
Okay. Ms. Ramser?
Yes, hi.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name's Ann Ramser. Address is P.O. Box 14243, Louisville, Kentucky 40214. And I do affirm that everything that I'm about to say is true and correct to the best of my knowledge.
Please proceed.
Okay, I oppose the waiver of the 12 months. I did work on a group when the short-term rental was amended. And this was something that was very important to us because we had people that were not registering or not following. When the attorney representing the property owner, he said that it was well-managed property. Well, that's not true. I mean, he's gone since 2023 and did not get it properly renewed on the license and didn't even cross his mind at least a year and a half later to do it when he got his citation. I think waiving it sends a really bad example to the other owners of short-term rentals. And I just request that the request for the waiver not be granted. And I'm available for questions.
Members? Thank you, Ms. Ramser.
Thank you.
Sir, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Chair Bond. In response to that, I understand the concerns that citizens have regarding these short-term rentals, and I think that they are valid concerns. And that the issue, I think that needs to be looked at a little bit more closely is the type of property we're talking about. It's the concerns that the citizen had regarding the 12-month rule. I think that the policy to that is to create a deterrence for short-term rentals that are operating illegally, mostly in residential areas. And my client owns a commercially zoned property. And generally, a commercially zoned property is a property that is available for a commercial purpose, which in short-term rental is. And as I said earlier, a conditional use permit was not necessary in this case. So while I do understand her concerns, I don't think that they're necessarily, that the deterrence for a commercial property is a little bit different. And my client was not trying to circumvent the process or anything like that. And actually, yes, the citation certainly alerted him the need to get into compliance and that he had let it lapse. Now, that is at his own fault, but I don't think that his intent was to necessarily try and stay away from any sort of oversight from the enforcement board or the planning commission or anything like that. I think it was just an honest mistake.
Questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'm closing the public hearing. We are in deliberations on the short-term rental registration. It's 1619 Bardstown Road. So you've had an opportunity, you have a copy of the staff report, you had an opportunity to hear from the applicant's attorney, as well as Ann Ramser, who was speaking in opposition to shortening the period during which rentals can take place. So is there any discussion or any questions that you have on this case?
One thing I will point out is this is almost an entire forgiveness of the 12 months. We've had these before. I think one of the last ones we had, their year was going to be up in less than 3 months. So they were asking basically for a 3-month. I know the waiver has to be for 12, but this one is actually for
10 months.
Yeah, more than 10 months. I assume if we approve it today, they can get it tomorrow type thing. I just feel like that's just a total pass. And I just don't hear a good excuse for why these are not renewed. If you're a business person running this type of operation, that should be a key item on your agenda, that you're going to keep your registrations up.
Well,
So I don't support it.
to that point, I'll just, on clarity on when most people find out and make this request is when they receive a citation. So if on this case, I think they immediately came in, and that's why it appears to be a longer stretch of time, is because once they got the citation, they came in and made this request. Somebody else that might have 6 months, that typically means they waited 6 months to after the citation to come in and make this request. So I don't know the reason behind their timing, but I'd point that out.
Yeah, I would assume that that's what it's influenced by, how fast they want it back, but.
All right. Other comments, thoughts? Anyone ready to proceed with a motion on this case?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Beta?
So I see we don't really have a staff recommendation or a staff finding other
We don't.
than upon review of the enforcement record, no other citations or violations. So I would make a motion that regarding case number ENF ZON 25-000452-1 for short-term rental registration at 1619 Bardstown Road, that we approve the waiver from Louisville Metro Code of Ordinance 115.516D1 to allow the issuance of three short-term rental registrations at this address within 12 months of receiving a citation. And that's in consideration of the staff review, the staff report, the testimony we heard from the applicant, and our discussion as a board this afternoon.
So essentially, the fact that it's in a C2 zoning and they haven't had any other issues.
Yes, on that basis.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded to waive the Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances to allow the issuance of 3 short-term rental registrations within 12 months of receiving a citation. Roll call, please.
Jan Horton.
No.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Beta.
Yes.
Lewis.
No.
Bond.
No. Request has been denied.
Well, we need another motion.
Motion fails.
The motion failed.
Ah,
We need
okay.
another motion, so we need a motion for the opposite, a motion to deny.
All right. Is there a motion to deny?
I'll make a motion to deny. Do we need the full description again, or?
You can just start with the motion and then put whatever,
Okay, a motion to deny the waiver to the, for case number ENF Zone 2500452-1. I make a motion that we deny that request for a waiver.
Is there a second?
Second Horton.
It's been moved and seconded to deny the request for a waiver as stated in the staff report. Roll call, please.
Jan Horton.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Beta.
No.
Rodriguez.
No.
Bond.
Yes. The waiver has been denied.
4 South Fifth Street. Before you is a waiver of Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances section to allow a short-term rental to register within 12 months of receiving a citation. Next slide, next couple of slides, please, Rachel. This property was cited for operating a short-term rental on an expired registration in March of 2025, and the Board of Zoning Adjustment has discretion to grant a waiver to the remaining penalty period to allow the property owner to register as a lawful short-term rental. Next slide, please. Here's some site context. This property is Zone C2 Commercial. This would be if you were looking at the front of the property at the intersection of Speed Avenue and Bardstown Road. Next slide, please. And just some more site context, commercial uses across the street. And the applicant has indicated that they are willing to pay any application fees associated with STR registrations to cover any period of lapse. Subject property is adjacent to commercial and residential uses, and I'd like to add a caveat that the residential use is an adjacent property that this applicant also owns and is a lawful short-term rental. And review of enforcement records and reveal any other citations or complaints filed against the property. And your required actions will be to either approve or deny to allow the issuance of a short-term rental registration within 12 months of receiving a citation.
Okay, so the applicant owns another short-term rental?
Yes, so this property, this waiver request is for 1774 Bardstown Road. The applicant also owns 1772 Bardstown Road, zone the same, it's C2, and it is a lawful short-term rental. It has an active registration.
Okay. Do you have any idea when that registration was submitted?
So they came in to compliance on 1772 after receiving the enforcement on 1774. So they operated both, and I don't know the lapse period off the top of my head, but I believe the lapse period was pretty short in this one. And so they got a complaint or somehow were cited for having a expired registration. They had 2 properties. They only received a citation on one of theirs. So we were able to lawfully register 1772, and they had to request a waiver for 1774.
Did I understand you to say, though, that 1772 had also lapsed? They just didn't have a citation on it? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay, thank you.
I just want to clarify really quickly. Though Jude said that 1772 is residential use, it is still commercial zoning. I just want to be clear. If you look at the map here, 1774, 1772, these are both in C2 commercial zoning.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't believe there are any questions at this point.
All right, thank you.
All right. I'd like to ask the applicant to approach the podium, please. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sadie Iovinco. I live at 1774 Bardstown Road in unit number 2. It's the second story in the duplex. And I swear that everything I say is the truth.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yes, so this was an oversight on my part. I definitely have had life get in the way, and I'm extremely apologetic for that. I'm a top 5% in the world for Airbnbs, so we're definitely a huge part of the Airbnb tourism in Louisville. So that's something, not only am I a super host, but we're also notated as like a top 5% in the world. Our Airbnbs are my Airbnbs are used by mostly professional people visiting, as well as some people coming for various events. I've always maintained compliance. I take managing my Airbnbs very seriously, as you can tell by the status that I have as a super host and also that percentage in the world. And again, this was just an oversight on my part. I'm extremely apologetic. It was not intentional, and I really appreciate you hearing my statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the applicant? Yes.
How many Airbnbs do you own?
2, 1774 and 1772.
And both of these, you failed to register them in time, even though we're on here.
Yes, I will say, so I've been working on the Train Depot project. It's a Land Bank Louisville Metro project, and that definitely took away a lot of my time. That project is about finished. I'm going to receive the deed at the end of this month, which is really great news. And dealing with the vandalism that occurred during between the open house and the sale was about $150,000 of vandalism that my insurance wouldn't cover because it was during like Metro's owning. And so the past 2 years, I've been really working extremely hard to restore the Mutual Train Depot and to fix it up. And through that, I will admit that I probably allowed this. I mean, I did allow it to lapse, and it was a mistake on my end. And I do wish that there had been some sort of notification to me, because I would have happily paid. It was never intentional. And the only way I found out was getting a card of the inspector in the door, but it's not the unit I live in. So I found the card and called her several times, never heard back, left text messages, and then I received a citation. So I was shocked because I had no clue why she left her card. I wasn't sure, maybe like I trimmed my tree too short. I don't know. I've never received a citation before because I'm always on top of things and always do my due diligence and try to do things in the best of my ability. So yeah, this was just an oversight on both properties, and I'm extremely apologetic for it.
But you're not saying you were unaware of the requirement to register?
I knew of the requirement, but I was unaware that I had allowed it to lapse. It was an honest mistake. And, I have I have the dates written down, not only in my calendar, but in my mom's calendar, my brother's calendar, just to make sure that this mistake never, ever happens again if I was to receive the waiver.
Okay. And you got notification and you attempted to reach out, is that correct?
I had a card of Miss Alicia Bosella. She left her business card like jammed in my door. And that I noticed that on April 1st and called her, what's going on? I actually have text messages back from her saying like, I'll call you later, and was never able to connect with her about what was happening. I do feel like if I was able to connect with her, maybe it wouldn't have progressed in this way. But I don't know. I suppose she wasn't unable to call me back or text me back. And so finally, I did actually reach out to her supervisor, and she did call me back and informed me like what was happening. But I will say that she she wasn't sure if she was in the right or not because there's also another license for the property that is active. And so that, I wish my phone hadn't died. I've been here a while, but if I had my phone, I'd be able to tell you what that discrepancy was. Even Alicia, she noted to me that there perhaps was something going on there. But even so, I went down and met with Jude and paid all the fees and everything, and happy to also retroactively pay anything as well. I really feel like this is just a paperwork issue, and I've made a mistake, and I'm happy to fix it.
And when's the last time your unit was rented?
So 1772 is in compliance, so it was rented last weekend, and 1774 currently has a 30-day tenant. She is a lovely woman who has a son who just graduated Brandeis Law School. They're buying a house in Iroquois Park. So she's actually a previous tenant and was happy to sign a 30-day lease with me because she really values the price and the amenities that I provide.
And is this still listed on any of the short-term rental platforms?
All of the dates are blocked off. So no, it's not listed.
But it's on the platform just with the dates logged off?
I'm honestly not sure what the difference would be. I just have all the dates blocked off. It's not able to be booked and no one can see it because the calendar's off of the platform.
Okay. All right. So I'm not hearing that you were unaware of the requirement to register every year, just that you did have some priorities, some things that you were very involved in, a project
Yes.
you were very involved in.
Yes, a Louisville Metro project that's taking a land bank historical property. It's a designated brown sign landmark with a capital L. Fixing that up, I've invested over $450,000 into this property. It serves as farmers markets, community garden, and things like that. It was definitely very challenging to get done in the 2-year period, considering the amount of vandalism that occurred prior to the official sale. So that definitely has taken a good chunk of my time and life. But again, the bottom line here is that these commercially zoned properties, I've been operating them without any sort of issues for several years. We have a very high level of quality that I provide at all times. And I'm apologetic, and I'm hopeful that if I was to be granted the waiver, that this would not happen again. Not even hopeful. I'm positive that would not happen again. So.
Okay. So the fact that this subject property is zone C2 had no impact on.
Oh, no, never. No, I mean, I'm happy to pay the $250. I think that's very fair and reasonable.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have anyone online? Okay. All right. I'm closing the public hearing. We are in deliberations on short-term rental registration, waiver of Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances to allow the registration within 12 months of receiving a citation. This is your opportunity for discussion or to make a motion.
Well, I just don't find good reason for giving these waivers. I mean, these folks are running a business under the rules that's been set, and I just didn't hear a good reason to give a pass other than I forgot about it. And so I don't support it, but I'll see what others say.
Is there an option to set those on auto payment?
Pardon me?
Is there an option to set those on automatic renewal payment? There's not an option.
Hold on, they can't, you're not on the recording, but I'll answer it for you. So there's no automatic renewal. Each time you apply, we have to look over the application and make sure that everything's compliant. So there's not that option. What you hear a lot with these is about a reminder, and there is a reminder email that's been sent out, but we realized it could be improved, and we actually just started sending out a better reminder email that has more information that goes out 30 days before a registration set to expire. The previous reminder email Sometimes we've heard feedback that it would get lost in a spam box, that it didn't have a lot of information, particularly if you manage multiple short-term rentals. You might not be able to figure out which one it pertained to. But I'll just note with that reminder, we're not required to send it. We understand that people like to have it and we see value in it, but that in and of itself isn't a reason to fail to renew. Each time we grant a registration, we're clear that this is for 1 year. So in a way, when we grant it, it's a reminder that you should mark your calendar 1 year and come back in. As far as enforcement's concerned, I'll just note this because it came up a few times in how they operate. There's two types of short-term rental violations. This prohibition only comes into effect when you get a citation. That's the more severe enforcement action that carries a fine. If the first violation is for simply being on a platform, Airbnb, Vrbo, even just Craigslist or whatever, just being online advertising, that comes with a notice of violation, which is basically a written warning. If you operate, the officer has the ability to move directly to citation, which I believe is what happened here. So when people say they weren't warned necessarily of the enforcement action, some cases that's true. It's at the discretion of the officer whether to give them a verbal or try to reach out to them. I don't know what happened in this case with Alicia. It sounds like she may have tried to reach out to her through the business card and wires didn't connect, but just that's kind of how it works. If anybody has any questions.
Do they not, like her business card or the communication from the enforcement officer is put on the rental unit though, correct? She doesn't know where the owner lives or doesn't go to the owner's house to issue that citation or
Correct.
warning or whatever it is, right?
What some officers do is when they are investigating a complaint, they'll leave their card in the mailbox tucked in the door so that the owner can call them. They also have stickers that they use every now and again, but usually they just leave a card in the door. That is officer by officer. They all don't do that, but that is what Alicia tends to do. It's just to say, hey, I was here, give me a call about this violation. The only thing that goes to the owner, which may or may not live at the same property, is the notice of violation and the citation go to the owner address as indicated on the PVA, which may or may not be accurate, but that's up to the owner.
And I guess it is possible when the officer goes out there based on a complaint that the owner is using it as a long-term rental and no longer as a short-term rental, correct? I mean, it's not necessarily always that it's a short-term rental application that has inadvertently expired. The owner may not, because they don't have to notify you that they're taking it off, do they? If your
No.
license expires.
No,
it
and
expires.
to complicate matters more, some owners mix long-term and short-term rentals. So a long-term rental under our ordinance is just more than 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, you find those rentals available on places like Airbnb. So sometimes they skip back and forth based on, whatever agreements they come to. And sometimes they stay in the unit and it's not available. So, but you don't have to notify us that you no longer want to do a short-term rental. Typically it expires. The only thing that automatically expires registration is if we revoke it or there's a change in ownership or host. Those will be immediate revocation when we become aware of them.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that clarification. All right. Is anyone ready to make a motion on this case? there a motion?
No one else has a motion. I'll try it.
Please proceed.
In regards to enforcement case 25455-1 at 1774 Bardstown Road, I move that we deny the waiver to allow the issuance of this short-term rental registration within 12 months of receiving a citation. And I base that on the testimony we've heard today, since the staff report doesn't make a recommendation.
There a second?
Second, Horton.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded to deny the waiver of Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances to allow the issuance of the short-term rental within 12 months of the citation. Ready to vote?
Jan Horton,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
No.
Vita,
No.
Lewis,
Yes.
Bond.
Yes. The waiver request has been denied. All right, that was our last case of the day. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, please.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
For the